Welcome back. Before we took a pause, we were talking about how crucial cyber insurance is in today's digital world.
And how even those who think they're kind of flying under the radar, small businesses, freelancers, they can become targets for cyber criminals.
Right.
It's easy to think, oh, it'll never happen to me. But the reality is, if you're online, you're exposed.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's dive a bit deeper into the specific types of attacks that businesses are facing. Just to paint a clearer picture of what's out there.
Yeah.
What are the major cyber threats we need to be aware of? We touched on ransomware earlier, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's a whole arsenal of tactics these hackers are using.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation, but one of the most prevalent and perhaps most widely known is ransomware. It's essentially digital extortion, holding your data hostage until you pay up.
So they basically lock you out of your own systems and demand a ransom to restore access.
Exactly. Hackers use malicious software to encrypt your files, making them completely inaccessible. Imagine waking up one morning and finding that you can't access your customer database, your financial records, anything.
Oh man, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And these ransoms, I've heard, they can be astronomical.
They can range from a few $100s to millions, depending on the scale of the attack and the perceived value of the data. And the thing is, it's not just about the ransom itself. You have to consider the downtime, the disruption to your business operations, the potential legal repercussions, the reputational damage. It all adds up.
So what can businesses do to protect themselves from falling victim to these ransomware attacks? Is it even possible to fully safeguard against them?
Well, there's no foolproof method to guarantee complete immunity, but a strong offense is your best defense. This means implementing robust cybersecurity measures like firewalls, antivirus software, and perhaps most importantly, regular data backups.
So if they do get hit with ransomware, they have a copy of their data tucked away somewhere safe.
Exactly. That way, even if hackers manage to encrypt your files, you can restore them from your backups without having to give in to their demands. Of course, prevention is key, and that's where employee training comes into play.
Right, because sometimes it's not about, sophisticated hacking techniques, but simply exploiting human error.
Absolutely. Another common attack vector that relies heavily on human vulnerability is phishing. It's a social engineering tactic where hackers attempt to trick individuals into divulging sensitive information, like passwords or credit card details.
So it's about deception rather than, brute force hacking.
Precisely. They might send you an email that appears to be from a legitimate company or organization, but it contains a malicious link that directs you to a fake website designed to steal your credentials.
Oh, so you think you're logging into your bank account, for example, but you're actually handing over your username and password to the hackers.
That's the idea. Or they might contact you via text message or even a phone call posing as tech support, or a representative from your bank trying to coax sensitive information out of you.
It's incredible how sophisticated these scams have become. How could you even tell if you're dealing with a legitimate communication or a phishing attempt?
It requires a heightened sense of vigilance. Be wary of any unsolicited emails or messages, scrutinize the sender's address carefully, and be on the lookout for red flags like spelling mistakes, grammatical errors, or an unusual sense of urgency.
And never click on a link unless you're absolutely certain of its legitimacy.
Right.
Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. Vigilance is key. Now, moving beyond ransomware and phishing, another significant threat businesses need to be prepared for is data breaches. This is when hackers gain unauthorized access to your systems and make off with sensitive data, often on a massive scale.
Like the PowerSchool breach we talked about earlier.
Precisely, data breaches can occur through various means, from exploiting vulnerabilities in software to using stolen credentials to infiltrate systems. And the impact, as we've seen, can be far-reaching.
And this is where having a comprehensive cyber insurance policy becomes really important, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Cyber insurance is designed to help businesses not only recover from the financial losses incurred during a data breach, but also to manage the often overlooked costs associated with incident response.
Such as? What kinds of costs are we talking about here?
We're talking about legal fees, notification costs for informing affected individuals, credit monitoring services to mitigate potential identity theft, and even public relations expenses to help repair any reputational damage. It's about having a safety net for the multifaceted fallout of a cyber attack.
So it's not just about protecting your data, it's about protecting your entire business ecosystem.
Precisely. In the interconnected world we operate in, cybersecurity and cyber insurance are two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other.
I'm definitely sensing a theme here. If you're connected, you're at risk, and proactive protection is non-negotiable.
It's the reality of the digital age. But the good news is there are steps you can take to mitigate these risks.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening and thinking, all right, I get it, cyber insurance is a must-have, but how do I actually go about finding the right policy for my needs?
That's a great question, and one that many business owners grapple with. The cyber insurance landscape can feel overwhelming with a dizzying array of options and technical jargon. The key is to approach it strategically and seek expert guidance.
So what are some key considerations when evaluating different cyber insurance policies? What are the red flags to watch out for and the must-have features to prioritize?
Well, first and foremost, you want to ensure that the policy explicitly covers the specific types of attacks we've been discussing: ransomware, phishing, data breaches. There's no point in having insurance that doesn't address the most common threats.
Right, that seems pretty fundamental.
The
What else should people be looking out for?
Another crucial aspect is the policy limits, which is the maximum amount the insurance company will pay out in the event of a claim. You want to make sure those limits are sufficient to cover your potential losses, taking into account the size of your business, the nature of your data, and the potential cost of recovery.
So you don't want to be, cheap out on coverage and end up underinsured if the worst happens.
Exactly. And don't overlook the fine print. Carefully review the policy's terms and conditions, paying close attention to the exclusions and limitations. For example, does the policy cover ransom payments? What about legal fees if you're sued as a result of a data breach? Does it provide support for crisis management and public relations? These are all critical considerations.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider. It's easy to get lost in the weeds.
It can be, which is why seeking guidance from an insurance professional can be incredibly valuable.
It's like a broker, for example.
Exactly. A broker can act as your advocate, helping you assess your specific risks, navigate the complexities of the insurance market, and find a policy that aligns with your unique needs and budget.
And speaking of finding the right coverage,
Yeah.
we've mentioned Good Rates Insurance a couple of times now. Guess they have a team of experts who can help with this.
That's my understanding. They have a reputation for being knowledgeable and approachable, guiding businesses through the often confusing world of cyber insurance. And from what I've heard, their online platform is very user-friendly, making it easy to get quotes and compare different policy options.
That's definitely a plus in today's fast-paced world. Nobody wants to wade through complicated forms or spend hours on the phone trying to figure things out.
Exactly. Convenience and clarity are essential, especially when dealing with something as important as protecting your business.
So listeners, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the complexities of cyber insurance, don't hesitate to reach out to the folks at Good Rates Insurance. Have a conversation with one of their experts, get your questions answered, and explore your options. It could be one of the smartest decisions you make for your business.
Absolutely. It's about taking proactive steps to mitigate risk and ensure that you're prepared for the unexpected.
Now, we've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the evolving landscape of cyber threats and the crucial role cyber insurance plays in safeguarding businesses. But there's one more critical aspect we need to address, a factor that often gets overlooked in discussions about cybersecurity.
Yeah, the human element.
The Achilles heel of even the most secure systems, when you say.
Precisely. We'll delve into the fascinating world of human error and its impact on cybersecurity after a quick break.